the thing I want to invite y'all to do is, if there are people in your life who are your dear friends, right? And you haven't made sure that they know just how important they are to you, if you might have let them drift a little far or whatever it is, like, don't be scared to romantically woo them back. Don't be scared to make massive declarations. I want us to be so much more bombastic in how we celebrate and uplift our friendships to their face.
I'm Autumn Brown, a fan of the Fast and Furious franchise and consultant in name only, living on Dakota and Anishinaabe land, currently known as Minneapolis.
And I'm Adrienne Marie Brown, a near enemy of celebrity culture, student of miracles and love, emergent strategist and pleasure activist living in the land of the Shakori, Skarure, Tuscarora, and Lumbee peoples.
This is How to Survive the End of the World.
Our podcast about learning from apocalypse with grace, rigor, and curiosity. You're so weird.
You're so weird.
You're so much weirder than me. But how are you?
Weird and getting weirder every day. Look, here's the deal.
Tell me.
The excellence of my life can't be disrupted.
Ooh.
That's what's up. I've had a really,
my life was so dope
that it could not end. Ooh, baby,
Ooh,
baby.
baby. Okay.
Like, I have had one of those weeks where, like, someone's fucking, like, coming for me and they can't get me. That's the week I've had.
You're like, Aikido moves.
Literally. I'm like, Aikido moves.
Aikido is such a good life skill.
Yeah. It's an amazing life skill.
It's truly an amazing life skill. Let's see. That's great.
Yeah. No, I'm doing
that.
good. I've had like a really like one of those weeks where despite some drama unfolding, like in proximity to me, I have been able to remain like, I've been able to like practice containment and support myself, be supported, and really feel the boundary of like, the drama's not in my life, actually, you know?
Yeah.
And that's,
I love that.
Fucking cool. Yeah. And it's like, I fucking mowed my lawn yesterday. My yard looks gorgeous. I'm in a weirdly good mood here at the end of this week. How are you?
I am similarly feeling pretty great today. And I feel like it's been like the week has had every, like I just keep, I'm like, oh, that was every feeling again.
Yeah, because you said that like 2 times ago.
Yeah. I mean, I think that what happens actually is living in the present, like learning to be present with the present, right? So I feel it's like so much of my practice right now is like being in the present moment. Right. And so being available to like what's happening right now, like not, living in my past and not living in some projected future, but like in this moment, oh, I feel what's happening in this moment. And so it's like, something will happen, I'll receive communication and I'll be like, oh, I'm crying. I'm feeling so much feeling. And then I'll receive the next communication. I'm like, oh, delight, wonder, some huge things happened this week, including I was at the Allied Media Conference and I'm going to talk a little bit about that.
Like last weekend. It's weird.
It was, last weekend. And it was very like, there's always this like stepping into utopia experience of that, of just like, these are all the best humans and they're doing the most interesting things. And I got to be back in Detroit for the first time since leaving. And it was just wonderful. And then I came home to my home in Durham and it was just like my home in Durham is also wonderful. And I've got such incredible humans here that I adore. And I got to see so many. Like I'm doing more hosting and going places. So I had dinner with other people, I think 4 out of the 5 nights this week. I went and got my nails done with one of my friends. I'm getting my hair did. Like just being a neighbor with neighbors.
Yeah, totally.
And for someone like me, that's kind of like, it's awe-inspiring. It's like, I'm wowed by all this, you know, how great humans are.
Socializing.
Yeah. And I realized midweek that I got the edits back for one of my books. And because I was just in Detroit, the 3rd book in the trilogy was like bang, bang, banging on my door. Like the whole, you know, now the cityscape is like also the storyscape. And so there were viewpoints and perspectives that I was like, oh, this has to be in the 3rd book. And then I was catching up with different people and, you know, reminded of the new ancestors that have come into being in this past few years. And yeah, so there's just a lot that feels really ripe. And so I was like, okay, it's time. It's here. It's time. I can feel it. So I did my social media break. Basically, I told folks like, I'm going to step off.
That's why you did that. I was just like,
That's why I did that. You're like, why are you posting
like,
every single meme?
I'm like the person who knows you, but like, why? I don't even know what you're talking about.
I know. I'm like, who?
Like, what book are you working on? What are we talking about now?
You're like, what's happening, girl? What? So yeah. So the 3rd book in the Grievers trilogy is the one that's going to get the business. And today I just sent back the edits to the 2nd one. So I'm like, great. That one is heading into the world. And
fuck yeah.
Oof. Yeah.
Well done, sister.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Well, this is a good place for us to move into conversation. But first,
Flume of awe. Let's flume away.
I will go first.
Okay.
Because my flume of awe is like incredibly specific. I just discovered cauliflower crust pizzas.
Ooh.
And I just want the world to know that like it is possible to have a delicious pizza where the crust is not made of wheat, which I never believed until last night. It's not.
Wow.
It's not the same. It's obviously not the same, but it is.
It's cauliflower.
It's cauliflower, but it is delicious. And so, if anyone's thinking about it, I bought the brand that I bought was from my local co-op, and it was called Cauliflower.
Oh, cute.
It's very cute. And I'm gonna like make another one tonight, I think, because I'm on a roll.
Wow.
I'm really proud of you. I'm in awe of myself for trying it, and I'm also in awe of like human ingenuity.
Yes, go
that's
off.
What it is.
Well, and I will say on this,
you were looking at me like, but what's the awe part?
No, not at all. Actually, I've similarly been having this whole period of my life where after years of ridiculing people for all these alternative whatevers,
that was me.
I finally realized that I was like, oh, I need those alternative whatevers. And I've been so wrong and so mean and such a jerk and such a, I'm sorry, everyone. Anyway. So,
apologies, vegans.
I'm sorry, guys. I wasn't, I was doing the thing, right? Which actually pivots great into my flume of awe, which is like ableism is not awful, full of awe, but disability justice is awe.
It's
yes.
awe,
okay.
Yes.
So yes. So my flume of awe is at the AMC. There were Serpent with Feet performed, who I kept calling Serpent Fire the entire time because there's a tarot reader that I know. Anyway, everybody kept correcting me the whole night. I was like, Serpent Fire is so amazing. They're like, yes, but also Serpent with Feet, who we're listening to, is also amazing. Anyway, so, but so there was a surprise for me, which was that this little baby DJ Amorphous, who is literally one of the 2 DJs that got me through the pandemic. DJ Amorphous and DJ D-Nice were the ones who like could do what I needed to do. So surprise, DJ Amorphous was there in person DJing at the Saturday night party of the AMC. Of course. And I had friends who encouraged this behavior in me, pulled up a chair right by the DJ booth, and sat right up front in the middle of the dance floor, chair dancing my ass off. And it's important because I recently have just been sitting with the huge grief of how much I miss dancing and particularly being on a dance floor.
Yeah.
Like it's been moving me to tears lately that I'm like, that's such a huge part of my personality.
Right.
I'm like, there's a way of getting lost on the dance floor in a certain way is such a huge thing for me. And I was just kind of like, oh, I guess I can't do that anymore. And I was like, oh no, I totally
can.
did that. That just happened. Right. And I was like, my abs were sore. My hips were like, I really moved. All the parts of me that could move were moving, but I wasn't in a devastated knee situation. And people came and danced with me. People came and twerked on me. Like people like sprinkled me with water and called me iconic.
There is an advantage to
wonderful.
being lower down to the ground than other people on a dance floor.
Ooh, so much booty. And it was great for me. But it was also one of those moments where I was like, oh, this is a glimpse of like how I want the world to feel. Like there was I didn't feel like I had to be separate from anything that was happening in just because of my knees, just because of my pain.
I'm so happy for you.
It was fantastic. And today I just got a frame TV, which I've been wanting. See, I'm going to do one later for the other thing. So Autumn is laughing at me because I can never find just one thing that's great.
It's always a list.
And I think that's a good problem.
It's great. It's like a good, it's a really wonderful thing about your personality.
I just love things. So I have been wanting this frame TV since I heard about it.
Tell people what a frame TV is.
It's a TV that when it's not on, it is a piece of art. It has like you can pick whichever piece of art you want to be the still shot, and you just hit the button, like the power button. You just click it once, and instead of going to off, it goes to
Dolly.
Whatever piece of art. Exactly, right? So, and then you get to build up your art, collection, basically, of what you want to put there. Now, I got the like leg mounts. I have to have someone come and mount it on the wall for me so it can really go off, because that's the thing is when it's on the wall, it's really...
Then people are like, oh my God, I thought it was a painting.
They're like, I did not know you knew Picasso like this.
Exactly,
and I'm like, yes. Well, not Picasso. Who do I want? I'm really, I'm like been thinking about like, oh, who are all the artists?
You want Frida Kahlo.
I want Kehinde Wiley. But yeah. So yes, like I'm just like, I want modern, Black, incredible art on my wall. Yes. And Frida. So Frida, my whole bathroom is dedicated to Frida already. So I feel like
that's real.
So anyway, I feel awe that such a thing exists. It feels like people are really understanding, like those of us who are like, I don't want any space dominated by a television, even if I do need to watch television sometimes.
Yeah.
All right,
here we go.
So I'm so excited about this conversation we're about to have, because this whole season keeps kind of winding in different directions. Like we made a list of what we thought we were going to speak about, but then each episode we're like, wait, we actually need to talk about this thing. And this is one of those where it was like, we need a deep dive on Friendlove. And it turns out Bell Hooks has a ton of things to say about Friendlove. And also, like, we wanted to just talk to each other. So we noticed that like we've been a little bit in a pattern of like interviewing each other. Because we've been interviewing others. And so it kind of has become a default behavior. But we're like, what if we don't interview each other? What if we just talk about friendship love? Yeah. So we're excited because...
We're not going to ask... We didn't prep any questions for this conversation.
I don't have to ask you shit.
I don't have to ask you shit. But what we are going to do, let's...
But you might ask me about my shit, because that's one thing
friends do. So what I think we should do, because we've got these quotes that you found and pulled for us... Yeah. I think we should just take turns reading some of these quotes. What do you think?
Let's do it. Bam.
I'll start, and then let's just go tag back and forth. These are things that Bell Hooks had to say about friendship love. Love is a combination of care, commitment, knowledge, responsibility, respect, and trust.
To love well is the task in all meaningful relationships, not just romantic bonds.
Satisfying friendships in which we share mutual love provides a guide for behavior in other relationships, including romantic ones.
Friendship is the place in which a great majority of us have our first glimpse of redemptive love and caring community. Learning to love in friendships empowers us in ways that enable us to bring this love to other interactions with family or with romantic bonds.
Loving friendships provide us with a space to experience the joy of community in a relationship where we learn to process all our issues, to cope with differences and conflict while staying connected.
It's so good.
So good.
It's so good. And I feel like with a lot of Bell Hooks's writing, and particularly with it in this book, I find that each time I come back around to it, it's like, ooh, I understand this in a whole nother way now, right? So the first time I read this back in, I guess college, like, I was a baby. But the first time I read this, it was like, friendship was like, for me, and I think for us, probably we share some of this, it's like we moved every 2 years. So it was like friendship was something that was like, oh, hey, who are my people here? Great. Let's drop in. Let's share everything with each other. And then when I move on, like we may or may not stay in touch.
Nice knowing you.
It's been great knowing you.
Yeah.
And so I knew how to do depth for 2 years at a time. And then moving into college was like, okay, I had my first experience of starting to build friendships that lasted longer than that. And those friendships, a huge number of them, I think probably in my inner circle, 2/3 of those people came from
That's right.
that college experience, right? Are still some of my closest people. We have gone through falling in love, falling out of love, surviving cancer, losing parents, losing grandparents, losing babies, everything. Yeah. Like we have, and raising children, covering each other's financially, helping each other out of debt, and all through it being like, wait, how do I get to know myself? How do I understand who I am? Mm-hmm. We've all put each other onto like, oh girl, therapy. Ooh,
right.
Therapy. Ooh, somatics. Ooh, Buddhism. Ooh, we are all going to level up together here, y'all. And, and along the way, I have found other friends, but these relationships are the most precious, long-standing relationships of my life. And it's not what I was raised to think would be those relationships necessarily, but it's something I'm so grateful for now. Like as romance moves in and through my life, I never feel alone. I never am alone, right? I'm always in a community that intimately knows and understands me, helps me understand myself, and who I care for so deeply. Like it's joyful responsibility with these people.
Yeah, just like piggybacking off of what you were saying about the duration of friendship, or having friendships of duration be something that like didn't get introduced to us until we were in college. I think one of the things that I've noticed, especially in the last 5 years when I've been going through some of like the hardest parts of my adulthood, has been like some of the fear that is aroused in being known, and like, I just had this really incredible exchange with my bestie yesterday because I was, going through some fuck shit and I was voxing her about it. And she was like, and she voxes me back and she is like, oh yeah. And I see this, that, and the other thing happening in your pattern. And I got real defensive and I was like, you just made me mad, blah, 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 blah. And she was like, I'm so glad you told me that I made you mad. And also here's the truth of what I see. And I was like, I know, you're right. I know you're right. Okay. You know what I mean? It was like, it was an amazing,
it's so
it was
good.
Such an amazing exchange. Cause she's like, cause we've reached that point in the relationship where like, we both are like, we have grown up so much together that we both are capable of informing when we're angry, and we are both capable of receiving feedback and being like, yeah, thank you, I always want to know. And we're both capable of being like, I see you're mad and I'm holding my ground because I love you.
Exactly. So one of my dear friends I call neighbor because we decided that even though we technically don't live anywhere near each other, our relationship is that of neighbors. Like we're like, we check on each other morning, noon, and night. Like, and we're really like in it. It's so sweet. So we're like, hey neighbor, good morning. You know, what are you working on today? All the things. And, but we give each other sometimes feedback where we'll be like, look, don't punch me. Okay. But I need to say, right. I need to tell you, and this might make you want to punch me, but I need to say, right. And so we know, like, when we get that little forward, it's like, okay, what's coming is probably going to be
hard to hear.
Real truth.
Yes.
Okay. And of course, you know, we also have taught each other everything we've learned. So I shared the assessment model from somatics where it's like, this is my assessment. This is what I see. It's not the truth. You know, you're the person who knows your truth. I can't tell you, but what I can say, can reflect back to you is this. And it might make you want to punch me, but here's what I think. Or, you know, if one of us, and this is true in almost all my friendships now, if any of us are like gung-ho, like, hey guys, I'm fine and I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Right? Then the other person can be like, okay, just due diligence. Just want to double check that we've dotted the I's and crossed the T's, and this isn't going to be like jumping off a waterfall, you know, that you can't handle or whatever, right? And it's so helpful because at least for me, what I've noticed, my pattern is actually, there's almost always that period of like, ooh, this is hard and I'm feeling the hard thing. And then way too fast, I want to be like, I'm good. It was fine. Yeah. It's fine. Yeah. Right? And I want to
look at my resilience.
I was like, did you guys notice today how resilient I am? I got a cup. It says Adrienne was resilient again today. What? So, or whatever it is, right? And then my friends, like, I think that's the secret of friendship in some way that I didn't understand until probably my 30s, was it's not and we talked about this with the pressure testing a relationship, you know, a few episodes ago. I think the same is really true for me with friendship, where it's like, until it's pressure tested, until you've gone through, maybe we are not friends. Are we going to be able to grow through this moment? Can we learn to fight? Can we be really real with each other? Can we risk saying something that the other person doesn't want to hear but needs to hear? Can we keep our friends from going off a ledge? Can we also recognize that we can't save anybody? You know, can we do all of that?
Yeah, because one of the things I was going to say when you're talking about that assessment piece is that is also like one of the things that's most powerful about friendship love to me is the ability to fly off the handle, fall off the cliff, you know, to fail in relationship to maybe your higher self in view of someone who knows you and sees that you're doing it, and then experience that person is loving you anyway. And like, and not loving you despite what you just did, but just that person is like, I'm just extending love towards you while I watch you, you know, maybe you're making a mistake again that you've made before, or maybe you're having to learn a lesson that don't want to keep learning. And I see that and I love you. I still love you. And it's like, the stakes are really different, I feel like, inside of friendship love, because I mean, and maybe this is something we can dig into a little bit here, is like, what are some of the differences in how we love friends versus how we love family members or how we love partners? And I think one of the things that I notice in my friendships is, even in friendships that are long lasting, there is an absolute absence of obligation inside the relationship. And, you know, it's not always the case within our familial, biological, whatever relationships, or within our romantic relationships, that there's like a sense of obligation. But I think it's a lot easier for the feeling of obligation to enter those spaces, in part because of like societal constructs around nuclear family, societal constructs around like marriage and long-term partnership and those things. It's like there's a whole set of, weirdly, there's also like a whole set of like economic, social, cultural frameworks that like kind of circumscribe what those relationships are quote unquote supposed to look like. But friendship is actually, you know, there's memoirs, but there's not like I don't feel like in my life I've witnessed the same kinds of economic, societal, you know, or otherwise like constraints applied to what a friendship is supposed to be. And partly for that, there is that absence of obligation and a lot of freedom to map together. Like, what is our friendship, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm trying to think of that. I'm like, does that feel true for me? I feel like in the way that you're talking about, like legal obligation, absolutely, like expectations. And I feel like the place where I learned that I shouldn't feel obligated in relationship has been in friendships where, because I came in like, oh, like I'm supposed to do what you want me to do. How do I make you happy? How do I rescue you? How do I I've created conditions of obligation in several of my friendships that I've had to then learn from and heal from, right? That I'm like, oh, I'm creating this condition where like I'm trying to act like I'm totally responsible for what happens or doesn't happen with this person's life. And it's been through good pushback and navigating and wrestling and really deep, honest conversations that I've been able to recognize that pattern, which of course shows up in both familial and romantic spaces as well, right? But friendship was the space that felt safe enough for me to try on actually being myself and recognizing I had those patterns and being like, I can unlearn them. And, you know, in Emergent Strategy, I think I wrote about the idea of coevolution through friendship, which my friends Jody and Danny and I, we talk about being the woes, and we're like, this is what we're actively doing. Now I feel like that's what I'm doing with most of my close friends. It's
just
like,
for our listeners, woes is working on excellence.
Working on excellence, right? So just this idea that in a lifetime, you are constantly changing and evolving and growing, and that friendship can be a container where you're doing that together, that you're like, I'm not going to leave anyone behind here. We're not going to leave anyone behind here. We don't talk about each other in a gossipy way. Like if we talk about each other, it's to figure out like, how do we make sure this person is receiving the most compassionate, loving support right now?
Right.
And like checking in sometimes on like reality, you know, like there's definitely been more like, did you see this? Is this okay? We need to have a moment or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned this also, that a lot of my friendships happen either in groups or in triads.
Yeah.
And there's something about that nature also that feels really sacred to me, that I'm like, oh, I love my one-on-one friends. And a lot of, you know, I'm like, I tend to do both. Like, even if it's like, there's a trio of us and I'm also, you know, still cultivating the one-on-one connections with people. But that idea that's like, I'm not going to stay the same. I'm not committing to stay the same.
Right.
I shouldn't stay the same. I want to grow. I want to be better. And I want to do that in relationship with other people. I also wanted to like talk about the aspect of like friendships going in and out in a way that I think, at least for me, other relationships don't tend to do quite like this, where there'll be friendships where it's like, oh, we're really close. We're really tied in, maybe geographically or just, you know, because of what's happening in our lives in a given moment. It'll be like a deep tying in. And then like a friendship can drift. And sometimes it can be like, oh, we've grown apart. And I don't feel a bitterness or a heartache about it, because it's like, yeah, it's okay. Like we really served each other's friendship needs and purpose in a certain period of our lives. And now that's shifted. And with the closest friends, it's like, we might drift out of daily contact, but whenever we sit down, it's like, okay, but we're dropping right back down to where we know how to be and picking up there. And I've had several friendships do that cycle of kind of drifting apart and then coming back and being like, oh, it's so exciting to see you again. And it's so exciting to realize like, yeah, I really want this friendship right now. I find that to be so relaxing, right? That it's just like, like I can trust that.
I have to say, I feel like one of the things that I look for, in part because of the fact that I'm a Sagittarius, but also in part because of how my life is set up, I orient more, I think, to the kinds of friendships where we can go for quite a bit of time without contact and then resume contact without a ton of preamble or need to like, you know... you know, so I think almost all of my closest relationships are like that. And also I do have some friendships where one of the things that I've been able to identify with those friends is like, if I disappear, that's a sign, right?
Yes,
that's a sign.
That's
a sign to come looking for me and to keep kind of like poking the bear until you hear back from me, because I think for some of us, again, that like the pain of being fully witnessed in what some of the things are that we are dealing with inside of our lives can mean that as things get harder, we actually lean away from friendship, right? Like that was one of my big learnings going through my divorce, right? Was that like once I hit divorce territory, I had to open up the curtains so that all of my closest folks could see what was actually happening inside my marriage, which was so hard for me, because I had spent so much time being like, friends, it's all normal and healthy and feminist. And it's like, no, it was not any of those things. Right. So like, I realized in that time of my life how much I had been kind of like falsely intimate with my friends, even my closest friends. And then and I still have to do this, right? Of like noticing like, oh, if things are hard, then sometimes I'm be hiding those hard things. But then I have now because I have really good judgment when it comes to friendships, I've surrounded myself now with the folks who know to come banging at the door until I'm like, okay, actually, blah, blah, blah is happening, right?
That's right.
So
that's really good.
I think that's interesting. But there was something you said, about drifting apart, coming back together, because there's also that element about rupture. Like just the fact that in a way that like most people, like when you have, let me say this in a way that's not generalizing. I'm just thinking about my own experience, right? Of like romantic rupture versus friendship rupture. And like how, like in my life, I have had a couple of friendships rupture where I had a felt sense of like, this isn't about me. Yeah. In a way that I couldn't have inside of romantic relationships, if that makes sense.
Yes,
like,
it does make sense.
Or
I totally get
like
that.
there's a way that you can kind of go through a rupture with a friend where you can maybe see your own stuff more clearly. You can each see your own stuff a little bit more clearly in a way that I think it tends to be messier in family and in romantic relationships. And I think about like I had a really, really deep friendship through college and after that where there was a rupture in the friendship. And then we went probably a good, 7 or 8 years without seeing each other. And we never became close friends again. But when we reconnected years later, it was just like, there was like such humor and delight in the ability to reconnect and not be holding anything about what happened in the past, because we were like, we were basically young and messy and, and like, and I think that there's something, I guess the point I'm trying to make is that there's, whether it's drifting or rupture, there's something about the kind of recovery of relationship you can experience with a friend that is really special. And at least in my lived experience, doesn't require as much work necessarily. Because maybe because there's like less, it's like, I guess for me, I have felt in those places where there's been rupture or drifting and a reconnection, that at the point of reconnection, I'm still not having to make myself any smaller in order to be here.
Oh, I love that. I mean, I think that that's like the sign of good friendship always, right? It's like, oh, my whole self is welcome here.
Yes.
That's actually the only friendship I'm interested in. And, I have definitely also experienced that friendship rupture, a friendship heartbreak, I've had friendships where I realized that we were no longer compatible friends. I've had one in particular, dear friend, who kind of just ghosted. And it was like, it's still one of the most heartbreaking things in my life. Like I think about it regularly, and I like extend energy to this person regularly because I'm just like, I love you. And like tomorrow, if this person reaches back, I'm just like, we don't even have to talk about it. Yeah. Like, I'm just here, But I also feel like there's been that idea of like what can be recovered. I feel like, oh, we're going to grow from whatever we try to do if we can recover this. Right. And there's something else that I want to bring in, which is like, I feel like it's taken me a long time to learn boundaries in general in my life. And I feel like friendships, often through those drifting and the ruptures and all that kind of stuff, is how I have really learned to articulate boundaries, to feel like, oh, wait, hold on. Like, I need a boundary here, or I feel something like there's a wall between us. What does something shift that I need to know about? Yeah. Like being able to get really into the subtleties of the emotional connection as it moves and changes, and being with people where I'm like, are you willing to talk about that? And, can we talk about the connection between us? Right. And one of the big boundary ahas I had, which again took me a while, was like, I don't sleep with my friends. And some people I know do, right? Important. It's important. But for me, and it's not that I have, it's like I have friends who I have slept with, right. But in general, as a practice, there's a big like, oh, what becomes possible in the friendship for me is much deeper if it's not imbued with that question, of like, totally. Is this something else or is this, right? Yeah. I'm like, for me, I really need those lines to be fairly clear. And for other people, I know there's other boundaries, like for some folks I know, as they become sober, they're like, I really need my friendships to be sober spaces. Yeah. And sometimes that means letting friendships go or letting them become much less frequent. I know people who go through major changes in their romantic or familial relationships that then dictate, oh, because, I'll speak from the I again, like I have had a number of romantic relationships that were super, super isolating. Yeah. Like, and that's on me as much as on the other person. Like, I just tend to be like, because we were raised by two people who were like, it's us. We are traveling the world. Yeah, it's just us. And they still are like, they work together, live together, play together. It's Joan Didion. It's like, that's just what's up. Yeah. And they really enjoy each other's company. And that's wonderful for them. But I tend to repeat that pattern. And a lot of times my friends are the ones who are like, hold on, that's not who you are. Yeah. Right. So just don't forget that you want to stay connected. And I feel like in the past 7-8 years, I've really gotten that I'm like, I don't drop my friends when I move into relationship with others. Mm-hmm. And if the isolation starts kicking in, like they all know, like, everybody knows like, okay, hey, hold on. Mm-hmm. What's going on here? Because that's not how you be. Right. Yeah. And I'm like, if people can't do that with me, I'm like, I don't want it. The other thing I want to say. Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah, say something here, and then I've got another thing to say. Really quickly, I will say, like, I will never, ever, 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 like, let a partner set boundaries around a friendship. That's like one of my rules, right? Where I'm just like, if you have a problem with me having these folks in my life, just always know I'll pick my friends over you. Yes. Just please don't ever be confused. Like. Yeah, because I don't want you to be hurt later. Yeah, exactly. I don't want you to be hurt later. Yeah. And I actually remember the first time I was beginning a relationship with a partner, and they were like, they gave me that as an orientation, and I was like, stanky face. Like I was like, what? Like I'm supposed to be your number one, right? And then I was like, oh no, like, hopefully in the best case scenario, your partner gets to become someone who is at the level and even deeper, into that friendship place, right? So then it's like, oh, you are my best friend and lover and all these other things. That's great. Yes. Or you have multiple people at that level. But I'm like, I think that's one of the great misunderstandings of our species, is that the sacred relationship is where friendship is. And people say that it's like, oh, when you're friends first and then you marry or whatever, like those are the relationships that last. Or when you become best friends, that's what matters. It's because
that Bridgerton season 1 shit.
Exactly. Well, I wasn't going to say that, but the other piece I think that I want to throw in here is it makes me so much more choiceful as an adult in deciding about new friendships.
Oh my God, so this is exactly where my brain was going.
Really? Yes. Of course,
love you.
because you have such a great brain. Because it's so much like mine. I mean, we have great brains together. But it's made me so choiceful. Like, I'll notice when people come at me and I can feel, you know, what you mentioned. Like, I'm like, oh, you're going to need more communication than I have to give. You're going to need more attention than I have to give. Like, I just don't have it to give. And so I try to be more clear with that. That I'm like, I don't have that, right? Because for me, it's very organic. Like, if it's moving, it moves. If it's not moving, it doesn't move. I don't question that, right? I'm just like, because my friend dance card is so full, right? I'm like, if you're going to be added to this card, it has to be because you kind of fit into the culture of friendship that I already have established. And like, that's going to work.
There has to be ease.
And then I'm really suspicious, right? Like, I'm like,
yes,
you know,
are.
I'm so suspicious of people, right? I'm just sort of like, look, you know, because I also know what it's like to be on the other side, right? I'm like, do I think that Beyonce and I would be great friends? Of course I do.
You do.
Like, I think, like, in my heart of hearts, that Kid Fury and I would be great friends. There's certain people that I'm like, I think if we hung out together, I know this, right? So I feel like, I feel like there's certain people in the world that I'm like, I've decided in my head, because I am exposed to whatever things you create, that we're going to be friends. And so now I'm in that position where certain people have decided that with me. And I'm like, that does not mean that we're going to be friends, right? That means that I'm doing my job well of showing myself in the world, right? And that's one of the things I've chosen to do in this lifetime is be an authentic person. And I love feeling deeply connected to a lot of people. But friendship is like, it has to be mutuality. I don't fuck with anything where the power dynamics are off, right? So I'm like, there's people that I look up to that I'm like, oh, that is someone I might ask to be a mentor. Right. I wouldn't be like, oh, like, I never just assume, like, with Grace, we're going to be friends, you know? Like, she might say that, right? And she did say that, you know, by the end, but it was like, that wasn't the assumption I ever made. It was like, I was like, she would be right to be suspicious of me. I'm coming to her as a follower. I'm believing in her in a certain way that makes it very important that we're able to have these honest conversations. And I notice that now, right? Where if someone sits down, and I have a lot of people who will come and they'll be like, hey, I want to just make a friendship offer to you. And I'm like, we can make a connection offer and we can make an acquaintance offer. And if the universe wants us to be friends, the universe will make it so, right? The universe will keep putting us in each other's proximity and space. That's how my new friends my like post 35 friends have come into my life, is that the universe has arranged it so that we could not avoid each other. And then it was so easy to slip into that space with each other. Right. So like Sonia Renee Taylor is someone like that, where it's like, you know, it's just like the universe kept being like swirl, swirl,
orbit,
swirl.
Orbit,
and it was like, actually, I don't just want to interview you, or I want to know you. You're up to some really cool shit. And I think it's dope. And I care about what is happening when you're not online. You know, my friend Prentice is like that. I'm like, I really care about you deeply.
Right. Where you might meet in like a setting that is like either professional or activist or whatever. But then there's a choice, right? And I want to name that it's like, you know, I think when we're younger, especially like college, it's like, okay, I was thrown together. I was on the same floor. We were in the same class, whatever. And then there's a point at which you still choose, like, we're going to keep this going. Yeah. And even if we move to other places, we're going to keep this going. And that same choicefulness, like, which I think for Bell Hooks was at the heart of love, truly at the heart of love, is like, we don't fall into it. We choose to go into the journey of love and to do the work of love. Well, yes. And this is one of the things that I've been like just holding is the choice of, like, I'm choosing to love you, and I'm choosing to deepen friendship with you because of love.
Yes.
With also that experience that sometimes making a new friend literally does feel like falling in love. You know?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've often felt that way, that when I'm making a new friendship, I'm just like, wow, like, you are so cool and awesome, and I love the way your brain works, and I love like talking to you, and like, I just want to be around you all the time, you know? And like,
do you feel attraction in that sometimes? Like,
sometimes,
because I often will feel that, like, I'm like, I feel very attracted to this person, at least in that first wave, and so I've got to let that wave ride out for a little bit so I can tell.
the like, am I ovulating? Like, what is going on? literally what's happening.
It's like, do I want you or do I want to be your best friend?
And oftentimes, truly, it is biological. Like I'm like, oh, I'm literally just ovulating. That's what's happening.
If I wait another week,
we can be friends. But then sometimes it's also just the like my best friend Lex and I love to talk about this, about the fact that like there was like wooing of one another that happened in the early stages of our friendship because we met in college and we knew each other. Like we had mutual friends in common who we were both close with. So we like knew of each other and had like witnessed each other, observed each other, but like both had sort of stories about how the other person wasn't, you know, like, well, they would never want to be friends with me. Right.
Aww.
And then one night
he's way out of my league.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. Or just like, you know, that person's like too cool for school, you know, but like both of us are Sagittarians. So I think part of our story, some of the storying was like,
you literally are so cool.
Yeah, you literally are extremely cool. But I remember one night we were probably juniors at this point, maybe sophomores or something. I can't remember exactly. Oh no, it would have been sophomore year. I remember one night I was leaving my building and I was about to walk to like the music building on campus. And Lex just also happened to be leaving the same building. She didn't live in it, but she was like visiting. And she offered me a ride because she recognized me because we had like maybe just a month before had dinner together with our mutual friend. And we get in the car and just started, you know, and then it was like a 10-minute ride or less than, it was like a 5-minute drive. And then I get out of the car and I'm like, okay, she's clearly the person I'm supposed to be like friends with, you know?
Yes.
And like over the summer after we connected, she like sent me like mixtapes and we wrote each other letters. And it was like, you know what I mean? It was like, there was something very, and there wasn't physical attraction, but there was something very romantic and very like, you know, I'm intentionally like, you know, pulling you in and also letting you know that like, I want more of this, you know? Yes. And then it never did stop. And then we started making music together, which then also made it even more like boom, 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 you know? And so now here I am in my 30s and I'm starting like post-pandemic living in Minneapolis. I'm starting to kind of like turtle shell, like come out and be like, who are my people here that aren't the people I already knew when I moved here. And that's been a very special experience to like making new friends through my dojo and like, you know, just like figuring.
Exactly. In community. Right? So first of all, I have to say, I love that experience you shared of the falling in love with Lex. You know, I feel like my friendships with Danny and with Janine are both very similar. Like where it was like, I remember meeting them. I remember everything.
Yeah, everything.
You know, like I'm just like, I remember everything. I remember being like Danny had just gotten a fresh haircut. And I was like, that's the coolest person I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my God, Danny is so
that person
cool.
will talk to me, right? But like all of my friends, actually, that's a common trait amongst my friends is they're people who my first take is like way cooler than me. It was never going to happen. Right. Like, I can't imagine them spending time talking to me.
Notice me.
And I know, like, which is like whatever it means, you know, but I think there's something sweet about that then when we land in the friendship, I'm like, I'm the luckiest person ever. Right. Like this, I just get to hang out with this cool, often Gemini person. And I'm like, this is great for me. So that piece. And then I also wanted to say, there was something else. I wanted to talk about our friendship when you mentioned the music, right? Because I'm like, you know, our friendship started so young, so early in life. And like, there was this sisterhood, but then there was a period of choosing, like, actually we're going to be friends. Yeah. And with both you and with April, it's like this period of choosing, like, not only are you my sisters, but you are my friends. And here's what we're making this choice. And with you and I, the process of sharing our poetry, sharing our music, sharing our art with each other was actually like a huge part of it.
Of how we built our friendship. Exactly.
Of how we actually built our friendship. And it has consistently been with many of my friends, one of the acts of intimacy, right?
Yes.
Like it's like, okay, one of the acts of intimacy is like, show me what you make in the world, right? And
before you show anyone else.
Before you show anyone else, right? So I want to see it. I want you to want me to see it. And I want to be vulnerable with you about how much your opinion matters to me about this thing that I've created, right? And I'm still the same way to this day. Like I could post something and like, 1,000 people are like, I love it, right? But I'm like, okay, but do my friends love it?
Do my friends like it though?
But do my friends see it? Do they read it? Like, do they think it's quality? Are they even watching? Right? Exactly, right? And I laugh about this because I put out so much freaking content, and my friends are often like,
"We can't keep up,
girl,
honey. We can't. Keep up.
We literally can't." But the thing I saw was great, or whatever. But I have to be mindful in that. Like, if I send you, if I'm like, Autumn, here's a song, or here's something that's like, it really matters to me that you hear this, and that I want to know what you particularly think about it. And I wonder about that for other people. I don't think it's always music. I think it could be other things. But I think there's something about that, the act of intimacy that's like, I want to show you something that's meaningful to me before I show anyone else. Like, this is my true self. Yes. This is something that's really important. It might be I baked something. It might be I wrote something. It might be here's a communication I'm going to have with one of my parents or something. Yeah. And how it gets held, right? That it's like, this is kind of the most sacred aspect of you that you're showing me.
Right.
And I'm going to hold it as a sacred offering from you. And to me, that's when like friendship elevates to the holy, the holy connection, right? And that holy connection, I think that's what we're here on earth to cultivate and to proliferate as much as we can. And I feel it, like, I'm so grateful for you in my life. I'm so grateful. Like, I've really noticed how valuable, how precious the relationships of friendship are to me.
It's so deep.
Like, I'm like,
it's so deep. And it's like,
I need my friends.
And I feel the same way. I totally, like, our friendship is, I mean, in addition to us being sisters, like, our friendship is one of the absolute most important relationships in my life, like top 5. And
I would have definitely been pissed if I didn't get to be your friend.
Yeah, right?
Like, in life,
awkward.
I would have been like, wait, Autumn's out there and we're not friends. Like,
and like, similar to what you're saying about the intimacy of sharing what we create. Like, I always think of you as my first reader, like the first audience of like the risks that I'm taking. And, and of course with the sister dynamic, sometimes that can get complicated because then I'm also like, you're my older sister, and like, like, are you gonna prove, and there's that dynamic. But although I feel like mostly we do a really, really good job of like, balancing the places where I am like, no, I do need your approval, or like the places where I
just wanted you
where I'm like, oh no, I just want you to see this as a peer. Like, tell me as a peer, what do you think?
That's right.
But yeah, it's like, it is this deep place to me where I'm like, in some of my lowest moments, and it's not always the closest friends, right? It's like I remember this going through my divorce, that I had an inner circle and an outer circle of folks that I was relying on, right, to help me survive the nightmare that I was living through. And the inner circle were people who knew everything that was happening as it was happening. And then there was a second ring of support, basically, where the people who I was like, maybe once a month I'm getting on like an hour or 2 hour long call with you to like, and I'm bringing you up to speed, or I'm asking your advice on something very specific related to like this legal proceeding or whatever.
Exactly.
And, but it's like the way that a friend uniquely can say something to you that will change the trajectory of your whole life. You know what I mean? Like, I remember in the final throes of my marriage, when I was still trying to save my marriage, I remember going for a long walk with a friend who was one of my few friends who had been through a divorce, because I didn't know many people who had been through a divorce. And she was one of the few people I knew who had, and we had known each other for many years. And I remember asking her, when will I know that it's time to let go? When will I know? Because right now I just can't figure it out. I can't figure it out. And she said, Autumn, one day you will just know. And it will be so clear. And there will be no going back for you. But like one day, it's like you can't force it. But when it happens, you will be clear. And she was so right. So there was a way that it helped me relax. Both inside that moment, and also later it's continued to help me relax, because the lesson that I've been able to continue going back to in my life is like, I can trust my inner knowing. And because my friends, they trust my inner knowing. Right? So I can trust my inner knowing and be like, all right, bitch, it's unclear and confusing right now, but your body will let you know.
You'll know.
Because so-and-so said so.
Exactly. I remember the reverberations of that conversation. And I remember in your life, in my life, I remember just so many moments where it's like, girl, a friend just got me together. Yeah. One thing about me, I told my friend and she got me together. Okay. And I am now together and now I know what the hell to do or not do.
Yeah, yes.
And, there's something about, I recently had a friend who I was like, did you see me? Did you see what I was up to? Did you see this thing that I was doing? And my friend was like, yeah, but I trust you to make the right mistakes for you too.
Ooh,
right?
Charlie.
And it's just like, those are the lessons, like you're learning the lessons that you need to learn. And even as you're learning them, I can hear in the way you're communicating. I can hear in the questions you're asking. I can hear in the way you're thinking about it. You're learning, right? And our job in this lifetime is not to be bumper things, to be, what do you call
rails.
Those? Like guardrails. Yeah. Bumper rails on each other's lives and keep each other from feeling anything. Is to be like, I see you. I see you going in the gutter if you're going in the gutter. I see you knocking it out and getting a strike if you get a strike. Like whatever it is, I'm right here. I'm witnessing you. And the machine's always going to bring you back to me, right? It's like when you come back, I'm going to be so excited to hold you again. Like, I love you. Tell me what happened, right? And I don't know if the bowling metaphor quite works, but I do know
that's what the machine was. Okay, got it.
I was like, thanks. I was going to
just act like I was following. But what I love about what you said is that sense of like, a true friend will never let you be in danger, but they also won't stop you from experiencing your life. Yes, right? Like that's what I'm hearing in what you're saying.
Yes. And I feel like when, my tendency, and I think a lot of us, is like, oh, I was living my life and now I'm ashamed. I'm so ashamed, right? And I have such good friends because they're like, oh no, girl, like there's nothing to be ashamed about. Look how brave you were. Yeah. Look how much of your heart you put into it. I remember going through a breakup once and one of my dear friends was like, everything you just experienced, that was yours. You just learned so much about how you love. Bang on. That's awesome, right? And it was just so wonderful to receive that. Yeah. And it's helped me through every kind of transition in my life that I'm like, oh, there's no failure. I was learning. Yeah. I was living into this and I was brave. And look, I did this differently than I've ever done it before. And like, wow, my friends make me feel like I'm doing great at life.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I know we have to lay it down here. But
yes,
gosh,
sibling.
I love talking about friendship.
Me too. And I want to just, I think before we let go, I want to encourage our listeners to tell Beyonce to be my friend. No, I want to encourage our listeners. Don't scratch it. No, I want to encourage our listeners. Like, no, but do you know what's so funny is literally I have avoided every opportunity to meet her ever. So it's not a real thing. I don't want to meet her. No. I need you to just forget we had this talk. All my podcast friends.
What just happened?
Go ahead. The thing I want to invite y'all to do is, if there are people in your life who are your dear friends, right? And you haven't made sure that they know just how important they are to you, if you might have let them drift a little far or whatever it is, like, don't be scared to romantically woo them back. Don't be scared to make massive declarations. One of the ways that most of my close friends, like, once it got cemented in, was that I started doing this gratitude practice every year where I would just send like love notes to my friends of like, thank you so much for being my friend. Here's what you brought to my life this year. And it just like, I don't have to do it all the time now. It was something that was like, I just need you to understand how important your existence is to my existence. Yes. Like, I don't care what else you accomplish in the world. You have been such an excellent friend to me. And I think especially coming out of COVID, every time I see my friends now, I'm just like, I'm so fucking glad you made it this far. You are so important to me. Like, it's just a preciousness that I want us to be so much more bombastic in how we celebrate and uplift our friendships to their face. So
let's do it. And on that note, as we make our
Yes.
transition into top culture, let's hear a little bit of listener audio. Let's listen to another one of our. We've got so many of these beautiful messages from listeners describing what love feels like. So let's just bring in one more voice.
Here is beloved survivor Rosemarie Wagner.
I grew up on the ocean, and we would just spend, all day at the beach. And I would be there with my friends when we were kids. Like, I guess parents were somewhere nearby. And we would just be out in the ocean for hours together, standing like right where the waves are crashing at like our hips or our waist. And you'd just be standing next to your friend, talking, and the waves would be crashing right in your faces, and you'd be like, talk, crash, wave, salt water in the face. And then the second that you're able to come up, then you just keep talking like it didn't happen, and just spending hours like that, and not always talking, of course, but just being together, feeling the waves crash and staying in that salt water and getting so burnt and crispy and dehydrated. And that's what love feels like. Loving and being loved. It's this undoing, this disassembling, and also this being done in, and this constructing of yourself.
Okay. Fantastic. Fantastic. Oh, wow.
Oh my God.
I love it when that happens and it's an accident.
It's the best.
Okay, time for our top culture segment.
Awesome. I'll go first.
You go first.
Well, actually, maybe you should go first because, well, no, I'm going to go first. Okay. So you're my top culture, Autumn.
Damn it! You took mine! Tell the people.
Oh my God. So yesterday. Autumn, yesterday. Oh my God. So yesterday, Autumn sent me.
That's a whole word.
That's a whole word and a t-shirt and a vibe. So yesterday, Autumn sent me a song that she's been working on, and she has been part of this songwriting class. Autumn's been an incredible songwriter forever, like our whole lives, an incredible poet, musician, all of that. And she's been like hinting and teasing that she's like, I'm making music with this friend. I'm making music with this friend, right? And I'm always like, I want to hear that music that you're making with your friend. Okay, yeah. Okay. So finally, yesterday, she sends me just a video of her looking into the camera, playing the freaking piano, singing a song that she wrote. And I am ugly crying by the end of it. It's striking all the chords, right? It's hitting all the places that need to be hit for me. What a pop song, what music should do. I was like, I want a whole musical of just this. I want to do work with you. It's so, your voice sounds incredible. The music is incredible. The fact that you can do both at once is incredible. The lyrics are genius.
Oh,
I can't wait for the whole world to hear it. So it's so good. And so then what I do when I like it, I was like, okay, now I have to just listen to it on repeat. So I've been listening to it basically for 24 hours. And I think it's the best song of all time. So that's my top culture.
Oh my God, I love you so much.
As yet unreleased song. And I was also going to mention this artist named Vesper, but I'm not even going to because I just want to stick with one thing.
I love you. Ow. Oh my God. It's so funny because I was basically going to say that my top culture was like myself because I feel like I'm finally blossoming as a songwriter. Yes. I've never felt confidence in my songwriting ever. I never really identified as a songwriter, but the shifts, there's like internal shifts that have been happening that, and I mean, there's external shifts always, but there's major spiritual work that's been happening inside of me that has made it possible now for a lot of stuff to be happening and for me to also feel a sense of like clarity and confidence that what is coming through me is the truth, right? And
sister, I've never seen that look on your face. Like, I've known you since you were born, and the look on your face, like the confidence with which you were singing your song and just like leaning into it and giving into it. I've never seen that look on your face. I can't, that's why I can't stop watching the video, because I'm like, you know what Ibeyi said? They were like, I just want everyone to see this face. Yeah. Like, I was just like, I need everyone to see this face. Like, it's just a different face.
Okay,
you were just like,
I feel different inside. I do feel different inside. Yeah. And I have to say, like,
it's so cool.
So the songwriting class that I took, the person who was teaching the songwriting class, the musician, said that, like, one of the things that you think about in songwriting is that, like, the thing that feels most personal and true and specific to your life is the thing that is going to be most impactful and meaningful to other people who listen. So, like, the more specific you can get about your experience, oddly, the more relevant it feels to other people. And I felt that in your response to the song. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The like, oh, wow, I was really telling the truth. I was obviously really telling the truth in this song.
Yes.
So, yeah, more to come.
I'm so excited. I am so excited. And I can't wait for your album. And I do want to figure out our musical project that we're going to do together, because that feels inevitable.
Many albums to come.
I do want to drop the name Vesper in the show notes, just so people go listen to this incredible singer I got to see perform right before Serpent with Feet. It was like
right before Serpent Fire? No, Serpent with Feet.
Serpent Fire, Serpent with Feet, Serpent Slither.
Yes.
Get us out of here. Get us out of here.
Thanks for listening to our show, the best show on the internet. We are on Twitter and Instagram at End of the World PC, and we're also on Facebook at End of the World Show.
You, and you can make a sustaining donation to our show by visiting our page at patreon.com/End of the World Show.
Another incredible thing you can do to help our show sustain itself is to write us a review on Apple Podcasts or other places. Thank you.
If you don't like it, don't mention it. Keep our name out your mouth. How to Survive the End of the World is produced and edited by the incomparable Zach Rosen and transcribed by Jess Pinkham, and our guest transcription artist for the summer, Sarah Rubbins-Breen.
Music for today's show comes from Tunde Olaniran and Mother Cyborg.
We are going to go swim, enjoy the rest of the summer, take a little break, and we'll be back in your ears next month. We love y'all. Be a friend.
Yes, be a friend.